how do you get what you want out of an interaction?
Okay. So number one, I need to figure out what my desired outcome is. So I need to go in there with an outcome in mind, and a lot of people don't. And every conversation, you should have an outcome. I want this person to feel great. Could be an acceptable outcome. But right off the bat, you want to get them to start making identity agreements. And this is just kind of a little micro class of things that you can do. Identity agreements means that you get them to either verbally or in their own head say, I am the type of person who fill in the blank. Imagine if I when I came into the studio today, I was down in this little parking lot area. You were up the stairs. And as I was walking up the stairs, I said, dude, I was just watching your podcast. It is so refreshing to see somebody who is a podcaster and can still do whatever I say. I can make sure that you'll probably do that or act that way on the show, because I didn't get you to agree to an idea. I got you to agree to an identity. And identity is the strongest way to influence a human being, to get them to agree to who they are as a person. So let's say I wanted you to be more open and vulnerable about yourself. So I'm walking up these stairs and I'm like, dude, I just finished watching your podcast. And like so many podcasters are so closed off and just, they push these barriers up and they try to fake their way through podcasts. So it's really rare to see somebody who is just genuinely open and authentic. So I really appreciate it. I didn't say that was you, but your head said it was you. But if I say you are this kind of person and I give you these direct compliments, your brain feels like it's being influenced. Your brain feels like there's some manipulation going on. But if I take that out, I'm taking away your ability to really scrutinize what I'm saying, because I'm just making a generalized statement, even though I'm getting you to say, yes, that is me. And most of the time, like if you just memorize that one phrase, if like you want a quick one-liner, which I hate these little scripts and stuff, but ask somebody like, how did you get this open with other people? Have you always been this way, or is this something you had to work on? I know I had social anxiety. I had to work on it. So I'm curious about something, and then I make an admission. And it makes the admission look more honest if I touch my chest. And you probably notice the feeling of like, this looks a lot more genuine. My eyebrows going up. I'm kind of touching my chest, making an admission. And the moment that you start answering that, I'm nailing down what you're allowed to do with me in the future. So I'm removing the possibility that you're going to be more holding back. I'm not completely eliminating it, but I'm lessening that likelihood. So every moment in a conversation is about crafting the likelihood of the behaviors that are going to follow. Influencing someone long-term is not just like, hey, let me just keep hacking away at this identity. There's ideas that come in there too. So you could keep going down a hill, and if you keep doing it over and over using the same technique, it's going to be very obvious. And it's going to be like, oh, why does he keep saying this shit? So priming is another, the identity and then priming. So priming is setting the stage. Every moment of a conversation, we're getting the person's brain ready for the next thing that's going to happen. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to read this script and then the sale's going to happen. The sale happens it starts at the first 5 seconds, right? So the next one is priming. I'm going to start putting in small seeds of thoughts in your head. Like, to understand the concept of priming, they did this study where people were taking a word search puzzle. And in the group, they put these words in the puzzle that were loosely related to old age. Florida, wrinkle, pain, retirement. Just after being exposed to those words for a few minutes, the speed that they exited the testing room and walked down the hallway was reduced by like somewhere near 30-40%. So they started walking slower just because they were exposed to these words. And if you have an outcome in mind, the number one thing you need to do is prime that person to think of that outcome. None of these techniques work very well unless you have authority and you have confidence. When it comes to linguistics, the first thing that you want to be aware of is how we're directing that person's attention. So can I capture a person's focus and can I lead a person's focus? If I'm speaking in a way that is not direct and doesn't capture focus, then I'm already losing persuasion. You could read all these cool scripts, all these cool books. If you don't have the social skills to speak well and really captivate somebody's attention, you're not going to do it. So one of the most common that people learn when it comes to linguistics is these statements that are called Milton statements or salad statements or whatever, but they're kind of presumptive. So a person can is a beginning of one of those. I can insert anything I want after that and help your brain to start picturing it and imagining it. Let's say I want you to forget about the time. And you could just put that into a sentence. And I want to kind of start injecting these thoughts into your head earlier on without you knowing that it's happening. I would say some kind of phrase where I could inject that into a sentence. So a person can. So let's say I walk in here, we're talking, and I talk about, you were asking me about the Joe Rogan podcast. And I was like, yeah, man, it's amazing how fast a person can completely lose track of time. So what I did was I inserted a small pause before I told you what I wanted you to do. This is called embedded commands that a lot of you can look it up anywhere on the internet. The rules of this embedded command technique where you're hiding language inside of language is I'm going to pause before and after. And the command itself, like what I'm injecting or hiding into my language, has to be able to stand alone as a sentence. So, for example, I can't say, let's say I want to get you to relax. That's it. A lot of people would say, yeah, it was a really completely relaxing journey. Completely relaxing is not a sentence. Completely relax is a sentence. It's a statement of telling someone to do something. So that's the difference. And the biggest mistake most people make is that they don't pause and they're using ing words when they should be using direct commands. And ideally, if you get more advanced at this, you should be able to clip the soundbite of someone saying the hidden part, and it should sound like they're speaking an independent sentence.
One of the most fascinating aspects of communication is that we don't really persuade people with arguments. We persuade them through identity. Social psychology has confirmed this for decades. When a message threatens our identity, we reject it, even if it's logically correct. See cognitive dissonance theory. That's why the concept of identity agreement is so powerful. Instead of challenging someone, we invite them to see themselves as a certain kind of person. It's a form of persuasion that doesn't attack, it includes. Priming is an unconscious phenomenon in which exposure to one stimulus, called the prime, influences the response to a subsequent stimulus, the target, by activating mental associations and making the processing of the target easier or faster. It can be positive, facilitating the response, or negative, inhibiting it, and it is widely used in marketing, communication, and the study of cognitive processes. Finally, the use of embedded commands and evocative language comes directly from the Milton model in neurolinguistic programming. Ambiguous and suggestive linguistic structures that bypass the analytical mind to influence the emotional one. But, as the speaker points out, without confidence and authenticity, these techniques become empty. Language is only a vehicle. The real power of a message comes from the conviction of the person who delivers it. In everyday conversations, this means that true influence doesn't come from telling people what to think, but from helping them feel who they are when they talk to you. Saying, "You're an honest person," might sound like a compliment, but saying, "It's rare to meet someone who cares so much about honesty," does something deeper. It activates the other person's identity. The human brain is wired for consistency. Once we accept an identity, I'm the kind of person who will do almost anything to act in line with it. So next time you talk to someone, whether it's a client, a colleague, or a friend, try this. Instead of convincing them with arguments, invite them to see themselves in a certain way. Make them feel like they're the kind of person who listens, who collaborates, who understands. You'll notice the tone of the dialogue changes. Defensiveness fades, trust grows, and your words start to truly move people. Because you're no longer speaking to their logic, you're speaking to their identity.